here's something that you didn't know. 2 of those special atomic bombs haven't gone off.
On YouTube, welcome back. If anybody's watching us to fantaCTE, I'm Nick Masick, your host. We also have got Vital DeJuiced and Lonnie Cox. Welcome back, guys. Good to see you. We are gonna get you guys ready for the draft. NFL draft starts April 29th, if I'm correct. Right, a little over a week away, and we got some questions that Lonnie should have. Hey. Sorry, dog fighting happening in the living room. Shh. All right, time to take a break. Shh. Hey, go lay down. All right. So let's start with the obvious. All right, first, I was thinking we'll run down like some of the best players, fantasy relevant. I know, Lonnie, you love defense, and the Cowboys are going to for sure draft defense. So you're going to want to talk about that for most of the podcast, but we're going to skip through that shit because you're on a time schedule. And we got to get to fantasy relevant stuff because dynasty drafts are going to be happening very soon. Dynasty rookie drafts are going to be coming up within the next few weeks. As soon as the draft happens, usually right after that, dynasty rookie drafts take place. So mine is definitely coming up soon. So let's go through some of the most fantasy relevant players in the draft and then potential landing spots where we think they may end up. Should we start with the most fun position? Obviously the most talked about, the quarterback position.
It's the most loaded this draft too.
That's what people are saying. I think it's a foregone conclusion. We all know Trevor Lawrence is going to go to the Jaguars, right? That seems to be general consensus.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't signed him already.
They gave him the playbook already, right?
Did they really?
Did they?
Yeah, I heard that.
Wow.
He signed, bro. Like, you give it to him the playbook.
That's. I was gonna say, when you give somebody the playbook, you better draft them because they're going to. If you don't, you just gave your playbook to the next team in line. All right, so after Trevor Lawrence, that's where things get interesting. There's 4 other quarterbacks that are essentially going to be first rounders, right? We've got. Where are we? Where are they? Okay, here we go. We got Zach Wilson, BYU. Justin Fields, he's from
Ohio State.
Trey Lance, North Dakota State, right? Mm-hmm. And Mac Jones from Alabama. Okay. So, Lonnie, you want to take the floor since you follow these guys?
Yeah, I mean, so I've just been kind of following this a little closely, and we could see a pretty historic draft in terms of it could go the first 4 picks of the draft could all go quarterback. So we could see Trevor Lawrence come off first, which everyone kind of expects. After his pro day, I think we're kind of basically locked in with Zach Wilson from BYU going number 2 to the Jets, which is just basically across all mock draft boards right now. I'm seeing that.
Okay. Yep.
Do you think
Mac
that's good
Jones,
for his value?
Yeah, I mean, I think, let's see what the Jets can do with him. He really, really impressed at the pro day. So he definitely kind of established himself as the number 2 quarterback coming in. There were some questions about that. Justin Fields was ranked pretty highly. But and as the pro days start coming in, we didn't have the combine this year. So as the pro days start coming in, we start seeing where these guys are at. And Zach Wilson really, really impressed. I don't know what happened with Justin Fields if he did not have a great pro day, or it's possible that they didn't have their pro day yet. I'm not 100% sure about that. But
I believe he had 2 pro days, actually. I think Justin Fields had 2 pro days, which is a few of the quarterbacks have been doing that, and they had a big turnout for both of them.
Something must have happened with Justin Fields because they were really ranting and raving about him before pro days were starting. But now all of a sudden I'm seeing just really haven't heard much about him. The only thing I've actually heard about Justin Fields is that San Francisco has basically just come out and said that they will not draft him at number 3. So
really,
I don't know if that means they're going to go Mac Jones. I don't know. I would imagine that's probably what they're going to do, unless they're just playing mind games
So they could
with
be
other
playing
teams.
possum. Yeah, you never know.
But the real, I would say, star of the show is my dark horse pick weeks and weeks ago was Trey Lance. Now you're seeing him come up after that pro day. He really, really impressed. He reminds me kind of a Dak Prescott style, just like a very strong presence, team leader. He didn't have a lot of tape. I think he's only a sophomore this year, and he only played like a game, maybe 2 this year. So he doesn't have a lot of, the sample size is small with him, but very impressed from what we saw so far.
Right.
And that's really of all the quarterbacks. Of course, I'm going to watch them all, but Trey Lance, I'm definitely interested to see. He has just exploded on the draft boards. He was, I think they were saying maybe a 3rd rounder at one point, 2nd rounder, and now I'm seeing him at possibly going number 4, ahead of Justin Fields on some draft boards. So
it's always interesting when you see those quarterbacks coming from a mid-major conference who don't play a lot of the big time schools, and you just don't know. Like a lot of them, they don't move up the draft boards until they start doing the pro days or they have the combine or whatever, and they start to measure all these intangibles as well. But yeah, what I read about him, big, strong arm, really great presence, and the same kind of stuff that you were talking about. They just think he's a special player with like his intangibles. So that's going to be interesting.
It will be. I'm definitely interested to see that. For me, he looks kind of like a Pat Mahomes. He's got that gunslinger style, big arm. He can move.
Right.
So we'll
but
see.
Not super athletic, not going to run away from a lot of people, but like
I don't know. I mean, I saw some of his tape. He was moving pretty well. But again,
that's what they said about Justin Herbert. He's not, because they're measuring guys against Lamar Jackson, and they're like, well, he's not that athletic, comparatively to some.
Yeah, but you just got to get away a little bit. Like Russell Wilson's not the quickest. You know what I'm saying? You just got just a little space.
Tom Brady can't run away from anybody. He's great at moving in the pocket.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Pat Mahomes the same. Aaron Rodgers the same.
Right. Yeah. So I like that. The way that they're evaluating those quarterbacks. So we're going to go down the list, but let's move to different. Let's do all the positions, and then we'll go down the actual list of who's drafting and what you're hearing about potential movement. Let's see. Next would be let's talk about wide receivers. That's probably the next loaded position from a fantasy perspective in this draft. First overall, pretty much everybody's saying is Jamar Chase.
Yes.
What I read was he's going to be better than Justin Jefferson, who was his former teammate, who was potentially a Rookie of the Year candidate. So that's pretty ridiculous when you think about that. but that's pretty much what they're saying on him. Other guys I have on this list: Jalen Waddle, super speedy, quickness, all that stuff. You got Devontae Smith, the Heisman winner.
Yep.
Elijah Moore is another one. He's probably on the bubble for the first round, maybe, but he has like that 4.32 speed, which, he had one of the fastest combines. So sometimes that will shoot a guy up the board. Remember with Henry Ruggs last year, I think he was taken before a lot of teams expected just because of that speed. Who else we got? Rashad Bateman is another wide receiver name that's being thrown around in the first early second round. And then another one, which was interesting, this is like kind of another bubble player. Kadarius Toney he was passing game, running game, return game. And you see guys like Laviska Shenault was one of those guys for the Jaguars who, like, he's just kind of the Swiss Army. He also ran a 4.37. So like sometimes guys like that, when you're looking for a lot of value in those picks, it's like, how many different positions can he help us at? So he was one of those guys too. So you want to talk? So what do you guys think about these particular players? Jamar Chase, you want to talk about him for a minute?
Go ahead, Vital. I kind of sucked up all the air on the last bit there.
To be fair, you are our draft expert.
Yeah, Jamar Chase. I don't know much about him actually. So like,
he was the LSU wide receiver, and they're actually talking about him likely being the Dolphins pick. So I mean,
LSU always comes with these wide receivers. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they are always. I don't think have they ever had a bust at wide receiver?
Well, I mean, Dwayne Bowe could arguably,
but all of them are pretty efficient. I don't know. He's
but yeah, I mean, Jamar Chase is like, from one of the things I saw about him is that he's the best wide receiver prospect since Megatron, which is insane. I mean, considering Julio Jones, Amari Cooper, just all these Odell Beckham, like all these receivers that have come after him and just been recruited highly. And I watched game film of him. I remembered him from when I was watching the national championship 2 years ago, I didn't really like pay attention to who he was at the time. But now that they're bringing him up in the draft, I went back and watched his film from that national championship, and he was just all over the place. And big time players make big plays in big moments. So that kind of thing, you're seeing a player play like that in that moment, the possibility of him returning to Joe Burrow, they've already got that connection. That's definitely looking enticing for the Bengals at this point, for sure, because they just have no offensive game whatsoever. But the question that I would be asking myself if I was in the Bengals war room is, do we take Jamar Chase and get that relationship going, or do we protect Joe Burrow with I don't know how to exactly pronounce his name, Penei Sewell,
left tackle?
I don't know.
Is he a left
he's
tackle?
the tackle from Oregon. And I don't know if you guys have seen him. I don't know if you guys like evaluate offensive linemen. He is probably, this is a quote that I've seen from him, is that he is the best offensive lineman in the last 20 years coming out of college football. So
Jesus.
He is a freak of nature. He's too fast, too big.
Yeah.
So again, it's like, do we
Which
take?
way do you go? Right. Well, this
guy could be protecting him for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
So.
All right, let's get to that speculation in a minute, but let's talk about a couple other positions and then let's break down the whole top 15. We'll say this will be fun. Running back positions, I'm not seeing a lot of potential first round running backs, but that doesn't mean they're not going to be fantasy relevant. So we'll throw the names out there, even though you won't see these guys off the board in the top 15, probably not even the top 30. But you know how second round running backs go. You can, they can easily become the workhorse back of their teams in that first year. So a couple names. What do you think? Top running back in the draft? Is it Najee Harris or is it Travis Etienne? I've seen both.
I would say it's probably Travis Etienne, just because of he had a little bit more of a sample size. Like Najee Harris is really good, but Travis Etienne was really, really good for a little bit longer. I think he had another season, maybe two, of just like elite running back play.
Yeah.
Najee Harris is also just kind of like, unfortunately, he played in Alabama, so he had that offensive line, and Travis Etienne did as well, of course. But Travis Etienne, I think, is a little bit stronger, a little bit bigger, a little bit. Najee Harris probably has the speed and quickness down. Najee Harris reminds me a lot of Alvin Kamara. He's a smaller back with a great balance and a great sense of self, which really special in running back play. But I think you're going to see Travis Etienne come off the board. He's a little bit more of a downhill runner.
Okay.
He'll probably come off the board first.
Right. And then the other name that I saw was Javonte Williams. Is probably, next tier down from those guys. I read about him. He's really explosive, good, and pretty good with his hands. All three of these guys are pass catchers out of the backfield. I forget where Javonte Williams is from.
Also, that name
North Carolina. I think it was
North Carolina. Yeah, that guy is really good.
So these are the top three studs that I saw as far as the running back. And so those guys are probably guys, depending on where they land in the draft, which we're not going to speculate the later rounds, but once they do land on a team, it's worth watching in camp to see if they end up, projecting in one of those lead roles or even a timeshare in a backfield from a fantasy perspective. So those are the names to look for.
I mean, honestly, I think the running back game in the NFL is pretty much wide open at this point. Like you've only got a couple of guys that have really solidified their position. But even guys like Zeke, like if somebody comes in, I think Zeke could potentially be on the bubble to not be the starter in Dallas if somebody really comes in and does well.
I mean, even Tony Pollard could take his spot.
That's what I'm saying. So,
so that's very likely.
Saquon, of course, is a lock. Dalvin Cook is a lock. Josh Jacobs is a lock. But I don't know, man. There's a lot of spots in the NFL that are wide open right now in terms of running back.
And also with just the way that injuries hit the running back position, especially the way that teams utilize running backs in their first couple of years, from a dynasty standpoint, if you're in a dynasty league, those 3 names, those guys are probably going to be getting drafted in those first, those 2 rounds that you get of rookie draft picks. So.
I would say Etienne and Najee Harris for sure are going to go late first, early to mid second. I would say that both of those guys would be off the board. They're really the only running backs. It's a very, very light running back draft.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too. Now, one other fun name that we got to talk about, one of the highest rated players in this draft,
Mr. Pitts.
Kyle Pitts, the tight end. Florida. Where's he from again? Where
Florida.
Florida's tight end. Yeah, Kyle Pitts. They're saying he's just going to be a monster. He might go in the top 5.
Oh yeah.
He's got that kind of talent they're talking about. So that'll be really interesting to see where he lands, and he's probably going to be a fantasy relevant tight end right away, especially with as shallow as that position traditionally is.
Yep.
All right, so let's break down the actual draft now. One, we got first round, Jags, Trevor Lawrence. Forget about it. Jets, number 2 pick. You're saying that you are hearing everybody saying Zach Wilson. No questions asked.
Across the board, Zach Wilson.
Okay, all right. So that makes the big drama of the draft is going to be the 3rd pick with the Niners. Yep. First really dramatic question mark. And they are definitely going quarterback, right?
That's what everyone's saying. I think they're kind of expecting a Jimmy Garoppolo trade, made possibly the day of the draft.
Oh, interesting.
The 49ers said that they're not going to do that. I don't know. The Patriots expressed interest in getting him back if he was available.
I'd love
to. So, we'll see. But yeah, I think the 49ers are definitely going to make a big splash. I'm not a fan of Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is a system quarterback. Alabama quarterbacks do not do well in the NFL for the most part.
No. Traditionally.
I think that's a bad move, personally. I would go Justin Fields if it were me. I mean, maybe they're seeing something that I'm not. Or Trey Lance. But, for me, Justin Fields, I think, could really be special in the NFL if he has the right situation. I mean, look at Kyler Murray. Yeah. I blew that huge. I was like, Kyler Murray is not going to be good in the NFL. He's going to get hurt. And listen, he still could. He's still. This will be his 3rd year, right?
Yeah. But from a small sample size, he looks pretty damn good.
He's doing great. He definitely, exceeded my expectations for him. He also has DeAndre Hopkins, and Larry Fitzgerald there to kind of ease the way for him. But anyway.
And now AJ Green.
So
he's in a good position.
Me personally, I would take Justin Fields if I were, John Lynch, but
I'm sure a lot of it. Mac Jones. I'm sure a lot of it's going to have to do with Kyle Shanahan's preference as well, because even though he's not a general manager, he has a lot of say in what happens, especially within that offense. You put a quarterback in his hands, and he's probably going to get the most out of him. That's
what I'm saying. I mean, and a guy like Justin Fields, who gives you so many options, as opposed to a Mac Jones, who's just going to is he going to manage the game for sure?
Right.
Is he going to light it up? I don't know. And again, I could be wrong. He's number 3 on the draft board right now in a lot of people's draft boards. So I didn't watch his pro day very quickly. Very much. I saw him miss some throws. I saw him kind of do okay. The famous clip of him is Bill Belichick kind of being so I don't know, man. I trust Belichick. You know what I mean?
He also might be trying to downplay someone that he wants to pick up too, though.
Maybe. I don't think we'll see Mac Jones slip that far.
I don't think so either. But Belichick's been known to pull a few tricks out of his sleeves periodically. His sleeves, even though they're cut off. All right, so that's going to be Niners, probably quarterback. That's going to be really interesting. Number 4, the Falcons. There's been a lot of speculation on this pick. This is this is probably the most dramatic. Which way are they going to go? What are they going to do?
Right.
Draft a backup for Matt Ryan. You had some strong feelings about Matt Ryan when we took our little road trip, Patel. Tell us how you feel about Matt Ryan. Should they pick a quarterback?
Yeah, they definitely should pick a quarterback, because if they jump up and get the tight end Pitts, they're going to definitely waste him for the first couple of seasons, which definitely I think hurts his fantasy. But if if that QB goes in there, any of them, who's available? Trey Lance or whatever is he?
Someone's
Yeah,
gonna be
or Mark Jones, whoever's there.
Yeah.
Trey Lance or Mac Jones or Justin Fields, like
I think
somebody
they can
will
fill
be
in
available.
well there. Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be really interesting to see what they do there. That is gonna, and of course the trickle down effect of what happens with all the rest of the teams, with one of those guys going off the board or not, is gonna be huge. So number 5, the Bengals. That's a really interesting pick. You talked about that a little bit, Lonnie.
Yeah.
The offensive tackle who's just supposed to be dominant with Joe Burrow, and what is a pretty talented young receiving core that they have. Let's not forget that they drafted pretty highly last year. What was his name? He was hurt for part of the year. Who are we talking about?
Henry Ruggs, right? Oh no, Henry Ruggs played for the Raiders.
Not Ruggs. It was the other. It was also an R name. I forget what his name was.
I can't remember his name.
Anyway, they have a pretty talented young receiving core. I think it makes sense for them to go protect Burrow, especially after he got hurt.
I don't think they're going to, though. I bet they go wide receiver again. I think it's a smart decision, but I don't think they're going to.
I mean, let's be honest. The Bengals are not known for their smart decisions.
I feel like they want a big star guy to replace AJ Green. I think they're trying to show him, and I bet they get a.
I think they didn't need.
They're not going for the smart decision. I bet you.
That's my point. But they were putting up points last year. They struggled. Burrow is kind of having a hard time running around. I don't know. I don't think their receiving core is that bad. I think protection is a bigger issue. If you give Burrow time, he's got receivers to throw to. They have some.
I agree with you.
Talent.
I'm just telling you what I think is going to happen.
Well, the next pick is your Dolphins, Vital. So what are you hoping falls to the Dolphins?
Either Chase or Pitts, ideally. I mean, either with someone, just a good weapon for him. I don't think we need a running back. Yeah. So Chase or Pitts, if they're available.
Yeah, you're not going to
Not Devontae Smith. You don't think they should take Devontae Smith if he's available?
I mean, yeah, I think that's kind of we're the number 6 pick. I think that if none of those guys are available, yeah, I'll take Devontae Smith. But Chase and Pitts are a higher pull for me. Right. Where would you draft Devontae Smith? Top 10?
Again, so Devontae Smith, you have the Tua Devontae Smith connection. So
yeah, but I don't.
You have some added value for that. That connection. But again, do you pass on? If Jamar Chase is available, you take Jamar Chase. Like that is a no-brainer. You take Jamar Chase at 6 if he's there.
We haven't had a receiver as caliber in a long ever, I don't think, actually.
So
off a rookie, that'd be perfect for us.
You take Jamar Chase. If Kyle Pitts is available, you take Kyle Pitts. I think you take both of those players. You take Pitts over Devontae Smith if it's between those two, because that very well could be the choice, right? You're taking Pitts because Pitts can play wide receiver. They're saying too. He's. I mean, Pitts to me is a wide receiver. My question with Pitts is going to see: is he going to build? Is he going to grow? Is he going to gain 20 pounds of muscle to play tight end in the NFL? So,
I know his plays are tight ends like wide receivers anyway, so it wouldn't really affect him that much.
No, I mean he can block, but again, it's college football. This is the NFL, so I'm interested to see Kyle Pitts' growth. But again, once he gets in an NFL weight room, he's
his own nutritionist.
All right, let's move on down to a couple more quarterback hungry teams. Let's get the Lions are 7. They're probably going to go defense. I don't know that they're not likely to draft a quarterback. I don't think. I mean, what do you?
I think the Lions are going to go wide receiver.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So then Panthers, Broncos are both in the mix for potential quarterback picks there, I believe. What have you heard about that? I mean, are those teams where you could potentially see a Trey Lance, a Mac Jones falling to them?
If they're available, possibly. But again, I don't know if they are going to, because they need O-line big time. So what I'm seeing is Sewell, if he's available, going to the Panthers.
All right.
I mean, from what I heard, they need offensive line even more than quarterback right now.
Right. The next teams kind of potentially in line for, wide receivers, I would say would be the Eagles at 11. Well, Giants maybe at 11.
Giants as well.
Eagles at 12. and Chargers at 13. Those guys, they're probably all looking to snatch wide receivers potentially early if there's still some really, really good guys out there, because you just got to give, you got to give your young quarterbacks somebody to play with.
Right.
So those are potential landing spots. And then there's been talk about the Patriots maybe moving up to make a play at a quarterback, right?
I don't think they will.
No?
I think there's enough good
especially
quarterbacks for the Patriots to make do. They don't have to jump up.
Also, I mean, they might not need to. I mean, Mac Jones and Trey Lance could fall all the way down there, and so could Justin Fields. Like,
Justin Fields could.
We don't know what these guys want. I mean, these draft boards could and usually are totally wrong. And San Francisco could take a running back at 3rd, and
that throws everything off.
Or they could take Greg Rousseau or Jalen Phillips from Miami, an edge rusher. You know what I mean? That could be anything. They could take Kyle Pitts. It really depends on.
I'm curious to see. I would like to see. I think probably what we'll see is the Patriots go quarterback if one of those top 5 guys is still there at 15, or maybe even move up. Have you heard about any other teams potentially moving around? I heard the Falcons were trying to move down.
Falcons are trying to move down. I heard the Panthers might be also trying to move down.
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos, I heard, are trying to move up. So
that to me says quarterback.
Yeah.
That they like one of the top 3 probably, and then
I'm seeing is they either want to go 4 or 7 to get. They either want they don't. I don't think they're going to be able to trade for 3. I think San Francisco said that they're not going to trade out of that spot.
Right.
So they're probably going to try to get 4th.
Okay.
Which will be Trey Lance, Mac Jones, Justin Fields, whoever is on their board.
Right. Okay. Well, that'd be really interesting to see some, So all those quarterbacks, once again, dynasty leagues, all those quarterbacks are going to be going probably very early in those drafts, in those dynasty drafts. All right. Well, we have hit the 6:30 mark, which means we are losing you, Lonnie. Thank you for filling us all in.
Of course.
I'm really excited. I can't wait to watch the draft. I'm very, very excited about the whole thing. I got to follow it closely because I am in a dynasty league, and we are going to have our rookie draft coming up pretty soon. So I'm going to definitely hit you guys up for some advice on that.
And let's do a draft recap.
For sure. In a couple weeks, we'll do the draft recap. We'll wrap up. We'll see who landed where, what trades happened, keep you guys all informed. And one more quick shout out before we get off. Alex Smith retired from football for the NFL.
Good for him.
Congratulations on a great career to Alex Smith. I enjoyed him. He was, he's just one of those guys you always wanted to root for, I feel like. Yep. So, and he coming off a comeback player of the year. So that's awesome. So good way to end it. Good way to end it. Playoff. They made it to the playoffs. So was he?
Yeah. I think he punched his ticket a good time.
Oh
yeah. He was a good career, solid player. All right,
guys. I'll see you guys both May 6th.
May 6th. That's right. May 6th at Holy Mackerel. Right, for our next comedy show together. That's gonna be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. And we gotta do we're gonna do the henna tattoo beforehand.
Let's try. If I can make it up there early, if I can make it up, we'll see.
Okay.
I'm carpooling with Connie and Carmen, so that might throw off the plan a little bit. But I'll get my belly shorn for you guys.
All right.
I'm bringing a razor no matter what. So I'll be ready.
All right, guys. I'll see you soon.
All right.